In this video, we'll look into how to create a new studio from scratch in Affinity. So right after you fire up Affinity, first of all, you'll see this particular box and UI. Right now, we do not need to create any new document. So I'll close this particular new document box. And after closing the new document box, you can see that we have Vector Studio open up or selected by default. So in order to create a new studio, navigate to the icon called Studio Manager right here and click on it. As soon as we click on the Studio Manager icon, you can see a button called Create Studio at the bottom of the option of Studio Manager. Click on Create Studio. Now you'll be able to see the Create Studio box. Now to create a new studio, let's give it a name, Tills Studio. And we can also set an icon and background for the icon. We can set it to any color by clicking on this icon and picking any hue color from the color wheel. However, I'll select predefined colors which are present in the studio color right here. I'll select orange for now. We can also select any of the studio icon. I'll select the dog icon. Now this is the icon for our new studio. And the next thing that we have is it is giving us an option to clone from. So we can clone the UI as well as the studio settings from vector, from pixels if you are working with photographs and pixels, from layout if you are working with magazines and layout, and many more. However, since we will be creating the studio from scratch, I'll select none. And after selecting none, now let's navigate down and click on create to create a new studio. Now as you can see, right after we click on create, it has created a new studio where there are no tools on the left toolbar and no tools above the toolbar as well on the right of our studios. On the right, you can also see that there are no panel whatsoever. So the next thing that we will be doing is we'll be adding different tools. So in order to add different tools on the left toolbar, all we have to do is navigate to customize tools option right here by clicking this button or icon. After clicking on that button or icon, you can now see that there are many tools available to add on that toolbar. So according to your preference, you can add different tools from this particular customized tools box. So first of all, let me filter out different tools by navigating to all tools and then going to general. So these are the tools that are generally required for all of the studio. First of all, I'll add all of the tools that are generally required. So first of all, I'd add a move tool since it is commonly used. And the next tool that I'll add is an artboard tool. Right after artboard tool, I will also want to add a view tool or the hand tool to pan around the artwork or design. The next thing I'll be adding is the zoom tool, like so. So let's say if I want to separate the group of tools by its categories, all we can do is add a separator by clicking and dragging to the left toolbar like so. And now you can see that the move tool and artboard tool has been categorized as a separate group, and the hand tool and zoom tool is categorized as a separate tool. And now I'm satisfied with this particular group. However, I also want to add other tools. So before adding other tools, first of all, let's separate the previous tools by using the separator. And let's add other tools as well, like color picker tool, style picker tool. So I'm satisfied with this general group. So next, I'll be selecting any other tools as per its categories. So in this example or in our scenario now, I want to create this studio specifically for vector. So in order to add vector tools, I can click on the vector category, and now we can see that there are many tools that are catered towards vector workflows. So let me add a separator down below the style picker tool, and let me add other useful tools that will cater to vector workflows. So I'll click and drag the fill tool like so, and I'll also use the knife tool. So I'll click and drag the knife tool. Maybe I'll use place tool. So I'll click and drag the place tool. And in addition to that, the other most important tool I'll be using is the node tool. However, I want to keep the node tool as a separate group. So let's separate the tools again by clicking and dragging the separator to separate out the group of the tools. And the next tool that I'll be adding is a node tool. I'll be adding the pen tool. And the next tool is the pencil tool right here. So let me add a separator again to close the group. And now the other tools that I want to add is a shape builder tool. Since I'll be working with vector extensively, I'll be using shape builder tool a lot. I'll be adding a stroke width tool and a path brush tool as well. So I'm satisfied with all the tools I have selected for my workflow. So after I'm satisfied, all I can do is close this particular customize tools box. And now you can see that all our tools have been added to the left toolbar, which we prefer to use for our future vector workflows or vector projects. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to add tools to our toolbar above. So in order to add tools to our toolbar above, all we can do is right click at the toolbar and click on customize toolbar. After selecting customize toolbar, you can see that we have many tools available from Affinity that we can add for our workflows. So the basic tool that we'll be using for our vector workflow is the distribute tool. So I'll click and drag the distribute tool. Next, I'll also select and group the transform tool right here. Since the distribute tool is different from the transform tool, I'll separate it using the separator tool like so. And the other tool that I'll be adding are, let's say if I work with type extensively, I can also add baseline grid tools or pin to text tool like so. And let's separate it again from the transform tool by using a separator. And the other tools that I want to add is, let's say I want to add a snapping tools that are present here. So I'll click and drag the snapping tools right here, and I'll again separate it using the separator. So I'll click and drag the separator to add the separator like so. Let's say now I'm satisfied with all the tools I've placed at the top toolbar. So after I'm satisfied, I can navigate and click on done. After I'm done, so the next thing that's missing, so after adding the tools at the top toolbar, the next thing that is missing is panels. So for adding the panel, all we can do is navigate up to Windows, navigate down to General, and as you can see, there are many categories of panels right here. However, we'll start with General, and in General, you can see there are many of the panel option right here. So the first most essential panel that we need is layers. So I'll click on layers. Now you can see a layers panel has been added. And with the layers panel, we'll select the next panel. So I'll again navigate to general. And after navigating to general, I now want to add another essential panel, which is color panel. So I'll click on color. And as you can see, a color panel has been added. And the next panel I want to add is brushes panel. So I'll click on brushes. So brushes panel also has been added. And in this way, I'll add more panels in our new Tool Studio. So I'll click and add more panels, like I'll add swatches also. And since swatches and colors falls under the same category, I'll be including swatches alongside the colors panel. And you can also add other panels as per other categories. We can also add other panels in other categories. For example, I'll add character panel from the text category by clicking on the character. And now you can see that the character panel also has been added. So in this way, you can add many different panels from the Windows menu item at the top right here. And now let's organize our newly added panels. So in order to organize, it's really simple to organize the newly added panels right here. Let's say I want to add the characters panel with the layers panel. All I can do is I can select or click the character panel and drag and place it right next to the layers panel like so. And now we have our character panel right next to our layers panel, and we can switch between any of the layers or any of the panels like so. However, I want to have my layers panel independent in one side, so I'll place other panel in a different position. So I'll place my layers panel here, and I'll move my colors panel as well on the left, and I'll also place the brush panel alongside swatches and select colors in this group of panels by default. I'll place the color panel above the character panel, and as you can see, as I bring my character panel close to the color panel, it will automatically dock it to make our panel settings easier. So I'm satisfied with this particular UI in our Tilt Studio. Let me make the layers panel a bit longer so that I can see all of the layers that are present in our layers panel. So this is how we can create new studio from scratch in Affinity. And the next tip that I want to give you is, if you want to delete your studio altogether, all you can do is click on this studio manager icon and navigate down to your studio that you want to delete, and right click on the studio that you want to delete and click on the delete button. And right after you click on the delete button, the studio that you want to delete will be deleted. So this is how you can delete the studio if you are not satisfied with your studio or want to create a new studio from scratch. So if you find this video helpful, please click on the like button. And for more tips and tricks related to Affinity, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching this video, and see you on the next video.